the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your hosts, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, welcome back.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It was nice to take a break from you. Not having to threaten you with the lightsaber.
It's okay. While you were gone, I was house sitting for you, right? Taking care of your pets and all that stuff.
And then you killed my wife's plants, yeah.
Yeah, probably. I came in here and I used the lightsaber to threaten myself, so it's fine. It was
all good.
The lightsaber didn't get any neglect. Yeah. We're good, you know.
I need to change the battery out on that. This way it lights up again.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Well, my goal is, what I want to do is get the battery fixed in there.
Sure.
And actually put it up over there. This way it's within your reach.
Oh, there we go.
Because then I can still kick your butt and I don't need a lightsaber to do it.
Yeah. You'll Sparta kick me out of the way first and then get the lightsaber. You're mixing lores here. I don't know.
You're the one mixing lores.
Hey, as they always say in Star Wars, live long and prosper. Use the Force, Harry.
That's what they say.
That's right. Use the Force, Harry. All right. Anyway, no.
They're just talking about Chewbacca is all.
All right. Exactly. Hairy man, right? So we have some new lighting.
Yep.
We're curious to see what you think. If you're watching this on video, let us know in a comment down below how it looks compared to previous episodes. I know there's like a little bit of glare on my glasses, but that's fine. And you can actually see his face for once.
For once, yeah. And what else is nice about it too? Unfortunately for our video listeners on stream as well as YouTube, we have a face for radio, so our podcast listeners don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, you know, they're making the right choice. That's too silly. No, we appreciate all of our listeners, but like I said, let us know on whatever platform you watch it on. Give us a comment, let us know how the video looks, because we're trying out some new stuff.
Yep.
So, with that being said, though, we'll be experimenting over the next few weeks, trying some new layouts and whatever we decide.
So we got some house cleaning before we get going on our podcast. As we mentioned, we were running a giveaway last month, the month of June. We're recording this ahead, so we don't know who the winner is, because this is still 2 weeks in the 23rd, I think?
Yep, we like to give everybody a full, chunk of time, a full month, to get in all their entries.
Because our final episode aired today. That was part of the giveaway. So it just went live today.
Yep.
So if you're watching this on stream, go back and listen to all those. You still have an option to get in. The deadline is July 31st. We will be pulling a name July 1st. And we will be contacting them. So when you're hearing this live, they would have already been contacted and notified. So you all won't get mentioned who the winner is probably till the third episode of the cycle, because we like to have a little bit of buffer zone just in case. I went on vacation just recently.
Right.
You have a lot of family birthdays at the end of the month. I go on vacation again in August because we're going to a concert up in Denver.
That's right.
So we just try to make sure there's a bubble in between. So don't worry, the contest is done and succeeded for our audio listeners, and you would have been contacted already.
Cool. All right, well, with that being said, today we have a top 8 debate for Arcane Wonders. Genuinely, I'm surprised we haven't done this yet. Like, we were saying that before.
Yeah, same as I, but then I was like looking at them like, okay, yeah, they didn't have a lot. It wasn't too hard to find.
Yeah.
What do we go? We got 8 and 3 more, so 11 games in total.
Right.
It wasn't that hard to find everything we play, because we genuinely do like the games that they're bringing over.
Yeah, I'm actually quite a big fan. I mean, a lot of these that we're going to be debating today are going to be like Dice Tower Essentials, right? And, send that to Dice Tower. They brought a lot of those in. Props
Tom
to them,
Vassals
right?
is really good about picking some good games out there. He travels a lot more, so it's nice that he's bringing this stuff. So, and the thing about this too, they have games from successful designers like Emerson Matsuuchi. Yep. They have games that have been brought over from Brazil. There's actually 2 games on our list that are Brazilian games.
Yep.
They have games that have been brought over from Japan. There's 2 games on our list that are 1 game on the list that has been brought over from Japan, and one of my honorable mentions that's a Japanese game as well. And then you have games from popular in Europe that they brought over. Cosmodrome is another a company that they work with a lot, and so they bring these games over. So they have a good track record.
It is, yeah, and I'm genuinely impressed. Like this, just when I was looking through my honorable mentions, I'm like, all right, well, maybe this one, maybe this one. It reminded me, it's like, maybe I should watch this company more often.
That's what I was saying. It's like one of the games that's in my honorable mention doesn't get any love, and I really do like this game. I need to play it a little bit more. It is part of my campaign games that I've been playing, but
spoilers.
It's not really a campaign, but we consider it a campaign because I have other parts to the game right now. So
makes sense.
But we'll get into that when we get into that. With that being said, I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to jump into this is one of the few ones where, with the exception of a single game, I would be okay with almost any of these winning.
I have an issue with one game, but our issues are probably different games.
Probably, and that's fine. Yeah, I mean, there is a 2-player game on here, and we all know, listeners of the podcast know exactly why that is.
Yeah, I do hate 2-player games, apparently. I'd rather play this than the other game I don't want to play.
That's true. Yeah.
And you could already tell which game that is, because there's one mechanism I don't like.
Oh, number 7?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, I mean, okay. Okay, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
All right. I'm about to open the can of worms, and I don't think we need to.
Yeah, I'm just not enamored with its mechanism.
Right.
It's a fine game. I don't mind playing it, but I'd rather play the 2-player over that
Exactly.
one.
Exactly. No, I agree. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I get it. But before we get started, what have you been playing lately?
All right, the first game I'm going to talk about, and remember, there was a whole other podcast where we just caught up on a lot of games, and there's still more games that I can talk about. I've been playing quite a bit recently, and I was telling you, I just played 6 yesterday and got a lot out. But I'm not talking about...
You played more yesterday than I did all of last week.
Nice. Did you guys play anything on Wednesday?
We did. We played 3 games.
Oh, jeez. I doubled your total for the week.
Yeah, you did.
All right, so there's 2 games that I'm going to talk about. One of them I did play yesterday, and one you're a fan of. But the first game I'm going to talk about, you didn't play because you decided to go to Albuquerque and do some networking and selling of your games out there.
Yeah, who needs that, right?
Yeah,
you know,
I know. You can see it just right above my shoulder over here. It is the final nominated game for this year's 2025 Kinderspiel that I have not played. It was Endeavor Deep Sea. And honestly, I really did like it. I honestly think it's a little too heavy. After Daybreak winning it last year, I don't think this one is going to win it because it's right up that heavy level.
Is it heavier or less heavy or almost the same?
It's less heavy than Daybreak, but not by much. Because it's much easier. The iconographies, you have to get used to the iconography, but the actions, selection, engine building kind of thing, very simple. It's like if you have the resources for it, you can trigger this, this, and this, and this. If you don't have the resources for it, then you can only trigger 2 or 3 things, depending on... Because you have little cubes that are triggering things for you. And if they either have a cube on it, you can't trigger it again, or if you don't have enough cubes to trigger everything. It just all depends on how you're getting your stuff back and how you're upgrading. I think you would like it because, one, it's engine building. You like engine building.
I do.
It's exploration. You like exploration.
I love exploration in the game.
And it has moving up with tracks.
Pardon me.
So
See you later.
yeah. But no, it hits a lot of good stuff. And honestly, I could see it winning the Kinderspiel if they wanted to go with heavy again.
Yeah.
But I still think Loot is my pick. But I think I really do like it. It is a fun game. It's a little more on the onboarding aspect of the game because there's a lot of moving parts. But if you're gamers like we are, or like our group is, it was real easy to pick up after like the first or second turn.
Yeah.
And the teach took a little bit because there's just, like I said, a lot of moving parts. It's a fun little engine builder exploration, like I was mentioning. And so much so... I don't know. I think it's going to be done by the time this actually airs, but if you're watching this live, it has a Kickstarter for its expansion. If you are like me and have the retail version of the game, you could buy the deluxe bits off the Kickstarter, and I think the expansion, which is the deluxe plus the deluxe bits, comes out to like $75. So it's actually pretty good, and you'll get a 5th player. I would never play this game at 5, let me tell you that much. 3 was fine. I think 4 would be pushing the limit because it is a little bit longer.
Ones, huh?
Yeah, there's it takes a little bit as you're going on, but you don't feel it. It's kind of like TI4, where you don't feel the length of the game, where you're like, oh wow, it's been an hour and a half already, and I didn't even realize an hour and a half went by. It's close to 9 o'clock, and we're going to call it a day after this game for sure. Yep. But yeah, no, it is a fantastic game. I loved everything about it. And if you just buy the retail version, it is through the roof really well done. The cardboard's really good. The pieces are in there that are pretty good. The deluxe bits that you're getting is more screen printed in different player shapes for players. Okay. Other than that, everything's normally the same for every player in the retail version, but they're really good. Wooden bits, thick cardboard, fantastic art and production. So I do like this one a lot.
So you think I would like it?
Yeah, like I said, it other than the length, it has a lot of things you like. The exploration.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like long games, but I have to know that they're long games going into it. Like if I know the game's gonna take 3 hours, I'm like, cool. It's something I'm excited for. 3 hours, no problem. If I'm like, this seems like a 45-minute game and it lasts 3 hours, then that's when I get annoyed. That's the only time.
I would say a good estimate is anywhere from 90 to 2 hours, depending on the knowledge of the game, and it has different scenarios. So if you're just playing the basic scenario, you could probably get it done in an hour and 90 minutes. If it's everybody who knows what they're doing. If it's most people who know what they're doing and a new player, yeah, it'll be pretty quick. Other than that, and then you can also play this co-op too. That's kind of neat about this is like you learn the game and you can play it as co-op. But a lot of people prefer playing it as a co-op because you're working at basically sea exploration.
Yeah.
So it's really neat. I do like it. I think you would like it because of the engine building aspect, the whole, what guy, I'm at this level, so I can go up to the 4 and get these guys over here, and then kind of like another game, I can't think of it, Lost Ruins of Arnax, you can upgrade your guys to the other side, which has more powers on the other side, which is kind of neat. It's like, this guy does this really cool, but once I flip him, he does this really good, and you're like, that feels good, and it's like, I'm triggering this, and I'm triggering this, and we all went a different route. And we're pretty much close in our scoring. Plus, going up tracks, who doesn't like going up tracks? That is fun.
That is now fast approaching one of my favorite mechanisms.
So I do like that part. And going up tracks as well helps your engine.
Yeah.
So like if you're really about using the people, you go up the first track, which gives you more people, allows you to upgrade them a little bit better, get you more powerful people. Because usually you just start in level 1 line. Depending on how far you go up on that track, you can go all the way up to the level 6, where there's only, or like level 5 or 6, where there's only one of each specific type. So it's really neat how they're going for that one. It is cool. It was a really neat game. I did enjoy it.
Awesome. The first game I want to talk about is a game. It's a 2-player war game that me and Dom played here at your house
while I was in Chicago.
You were hosting, while you were in a completely different time zone. Yeah, no. So we played Fire and Stone: Siege of Vienna. And this is from Capstone Games, and it's a 2-player...
Who was this one, you or Dom?
This is my choice,
actually,
yeah. I know, right? Does that seem weird? It's an asymmetric...
Well, first off, it's a war game.
Right.
2-player doesn't seem weird, but it's a war game. It's a capstone game, which usually is up Dom's alley.
Right.
So it's kind of like, wait, this is your pick?
Yeah. No, this was... Here's the thing, right? Like... I'm finding that I'm actually really kind of a fan of war games. Like, I've never disliked them per se. I've never gotten like huge into like the small little like chits moving around, but I've never been against them. Like, I used to play Ogre. I liked Ogre a lot. Ogre's cool.
Well, it's because you like tactical games for that matter.
Sometimes, sometimes they'll stay at, or they'll be like, I don't know, like area control, like that's when it puts it off for me. This was a very
That's just because
game.
You suck at area control.
I'm all the That's not untrue. No, this one, it's less about area control. This is fully asymmetric. You play over 5 rounds. Each round you play like 5 or 6 cards. I forget off the top of my head. And one player plays the Halbergs or something like that. Halsbergs?
Halsbergs, okay.
Halsbergs, yeah. And the other one is the Ottomans. They're trying to come in.
Okay.
And so...
Habsburgs.
Habsburgs, thank you. Mm-hmm. Yes. I was the Habsburgs in this, and all I had to do...
So you had the chin.
Apparently. I don't know. I'll take your word on that.
Well, the Habsburgs are notorious inbreeders, so you can go through their family lineage, and you could just see the chin becoming more and more...
Oh, okay. So that would explain all the extra cannons. I don't even know what that means. But no, so it was interesting because I had 9 cannons at all times. I had... built fortifications, and I had different ways to fend them off. All I had to do was survive. All I had to do... yes, okay. He just pulled a picture off. Jeez. Oh, man. All I had to do was fend him off, or destroy all of his troops. Which he had 20 troop cards, which is kind of interesting. Which are used for the battles, but sometimes you can eliminate them and they get removed from the game. Mm-hmm. I only had 12 troops, but I had 9 cannons already structures, but he had a lot of tactical and like being able to dig under and blow stuff up and break my fortifications and a lot of really...
Which the Ottomans were known for.
Right.
It's very historically accurate from what you're saying.
It is, yeah. From what I understand. And they even had a whole book of like history behind it and all that stuff. So it's a very true style of like 2-player war game. John from John Gets Games, or now it's Getting Games.
Getting Games, yeah.
Getting Games now. He did a fantastic like how to play video for it. That was the... Stop. Put him away. Jeez. All right. No, he did a fantastic video of
teaching it.
Of teaching it.
He's really coming up there for me. Him, Meeple University. Of course, Watch It Played is always one of the go-to ones because he's just very concise.
Yeah.
But Meeple University is climbing, and Getting Games is climbing for me as well.
It is, yeah. There's a whole slew of just different people that I really enjoy their playthroughs. He made this really kind of difficult game very clear, and he did a fantastic job of it. So much to the point where I was able to explain it to our friend, and we played it. I don't know how efficiently he played. He was very cautious at first, and I think that's what lost the game for him. Because by the 4th and 5th round, I still had most of my structures still up. And I was just fending them away.
He didn't play the Ottomans well.
No.
Ottomans didn't care. They sent their people to the line.
You just have to go for it. Yeah. He actually had 3 ways to win. If he got into the main stronghold, you win. Or if you control 2 of the other like semi strongholds, then you can win. Or if you get rid of all 12 of my troops, you win. So there's multiple different ways for each side to win, and they each had their own tactics. And it was really cool. Nice. I enjoyed it a lot. And the reason I brought that over and with Dom specifically is because him and I have been playing those 2-player Palomari like war games. War games in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Caesar. Well, you and me played the Caesar one.
We played the Caesar one, but he brought over Blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
And I think I showed him Dogfight before. But
the air one, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like...
Is Dogfight Palomari? I thought it was another...
It is.
Oh, okay.
It is. Dogfight and Blitzkrieg are Palomari. Caesar is different.
It's different, okay.
Or no?
No, I think the Dogfight one is the different one.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Dogfight is the different one.
Caesar is the Palomari.
Yeah. Either way. But, like, I'm starting to really appreciate these, like, 2-player head-to-head. As long as they're not, like, obscenely difficult.
Yeah, or just long in general, just to be long.
Right, exactly. Like, I mean, nobody's doing, like, the Battle for North Africa or whatever, the one that takes, like, 10,000 hours
Yeah, that one is ridiculous.
It's, like, that doesn't interest me at all. But
North Africa, by the way. North Africa.
What did I say?
Africa. It was the Battle for North Africa, I think it's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be for, like, the Egypt battle.
Right, yeah, but... what I'm saying, though, is that, like, those don't interest me. Like, the people who used to play, like, the old Avalon Hill, like, war games.
Or the GMT stuff.
Or the GMT stuff, yeah, not as much. But I really did appreciate this, and it was really kind of neat. Capstone did a great job. Good production. Not over the top, but strong, good materials, and a great game.
Capstone just recently picked up a game that I'm interested for. They're bringing to the U.S. I just can't remember the name of it right now, but it's supposed to come out actually around Gen Con time.
Okay.
It's already in Europe, but they're bringing it over and getting it nice. Like, I would be okay with Capstone getting Broom Service and making us a nice version of that one. So.
That would be great.
So, speaking of pretty games.
We should break down Capstone one of these days. We might have enough.
Yeah, well, they might have enough, yeah.
I'll write that down.
So, I actually just recently played a pretty game yesterday. And it's one that's been on my shelf of shame for a while. And I picked it up relatively cheap while I was up in Denver at one point in time. Went to a Barnes & Noble that was right next to my hotel, and it was there for $10. So I picked it up and wanted to give it a try. And I enjoyed it. And this is The Spill from Smirk and Dagger Games.
Is this the first time you played it?
It is the first time I played it.
Finally! Finally! It's dope, right?
Yeah, it is. It's really good. I liked what it did. It is super tough when you're trying to mitigate. It is like, oh, we're just not... There is no way we're going to go over there and save that thing because the die just landed there, and everybody's like on this side of the board, and there's no way I can get to that spot on the board to save it and at least push that die away before it goes into the sickbay.
Yeah.
To the point where we're trying to like math it out. We're like, okay, someone needs to go over there and rescue that dolphin. I know we need another contaminated one, but if we get that dolphin on the board over here, then we cannot lose the game by getting the system where you get one of all 6 of the animals in the sickbay. So if someone saves that dolphin, there's only 6 dolphins. that's the last one. If we get it on the board, there's 4 here, we're good. So, that kind of thing. Because we were playing the win card where you need to get 3 contaminated animals saved, and you needed to get 12 dice removed from the game. Right. And I forget what the other one was, but two complete lines.
2 complete sets. Yeah.
2 complete sets.
Gotcha.
Got that one done. We actually won, but it was on the last turn. I literally had to go and rescue one animal just to make sure it didn't get contaminated. I had to. And I was playing the character that can remove the dice for 2 actions, so that wasn't the animal. I had to go remove that die for that one action, and by doing that, I had to take off that last spill. This way, we didn't have the 6th spill because that was the whole thing about this game, and that was our little bit of an issue with this game is. The whole process is we're just mitigating spills. That's all we're doing. We're trying to, okay, this is no longer a spill zone, so we're not going to get that in-game trigger. Okay, this is no longer a spill zone. My whole job, I rescued 2 animals. My whole job is going over there. I'm using my ability to take that die away. I'm using my ability to take that die away. That's all I was doing the whole game. And it felt a little samey at one point.
Sure.
It is gorgeous to look at on the table. That lovely dice tower thing. Which doesn't work very well, unfortunately, when you're dropping the dice out there and it literally bounces out. It's like...
That's never happened in my play, but I can believe it. That's hilarious.
We did it like several times, and they bounced right perfectly on that bottom one and bounced over the... But it was like, okay, we know what quadrant it went into, so just put the number on that quadrant. That's where it came out. We saw it the whole time. To the point where we, instead of dropping like a big bunch of dice in the dice tower, we had to do it one at a time. Just to try to mitigate as much as possible of it bouncing out and flying through the kitchen where we were playing. So yeah, it was really cool. It was really neat. I really do enjoy this game. It is a fun, cooperative game, but man, was it tough. We were able to win barely.
Barely, yeah.
Barely. Like, if we...
It can get out of hand real fast.
The thing is, it was... On my turn, if I wasn't able to use my ability and just use my 4 actions to remove 2 dice, one we needed to remove to, in the spillway, but I also needed to remove dice because we needed 2 dice to get the 12 dice and hit the win scenario check. That was the last thing we had to do, and then take away that only last one that we could get. So yeah, it was rough, but it was like at the last turn basically. Because if I think honestly, the way it was seated on the board, if it went to the next player's turn, we were dumping enough dice. We were dumping 4 dice. We played on the standard edition. I could just imagine the crazy editions.
Yeah.
So, the spill from Smirk and Dagger Games. Fun little co-op, but beware, it is not easy.
Yep. I can honestly say this is one of the only reason it's not a million times higher on my list of like my favorite games of all time is because it requires 4 players.
Yeah, and that is my thing. It's like, luckily I played it 4 players.
Night Cage does that. This does that. It's an ongoing theme.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish you didn't have to double up on people. That's it. That's
here's my thing. Is like, I like this one and I like Night Cage. Both of them are great co-ops. I think I prefer Night Cage over the Spill.
Sure, I do too. I think it's prettier too. Night Cage.
Yeah.
I really like that dark art.
I just don't like the fact that I have to build that tower every time I want to play the Spill. Like, build the tower, and then I have to build the quadrants for the Spill.
You have to rebuild the tower every time? Mine fits for no problem.
Yeah, but you have the Kickstarter, don't you?
No.
I have the retail.
I do, but yeah, no, even the retail does it.
Oh, no, because the insert won't let me keep the tower built.
Oh, I get rid of the insert. That's the problem. Yeah. Get rid of that insert. I agree. All right, last game I want to talk about. So, this is technically a Damn It Daniel game.
You're welcome.
But you've never played it. You got me... Like, I was already interested in this company, and you got me even more interested in this company, which led me down a rabbit hole to get another game from this company, which got me even more interested, which is the current game I played. This is Side Room Games. And... You got me in, like, I already knew a little bit about it because of, like, Forage and Grove and all those. I was like, okay, it's a clever little puzzle game. Cool, super neat. And you were like, For Northwood, man, try it. And so you got me a copy. I played it. I was like, okay, trick-taking. Like, how would you do a one-player trick-taking game?
A solo trick-taking game. Oh, my God. I took it. I took my 4 Northwood with me up to Chicago, and I never got it played. But I took it with me because I was going to play it on the plane. But I ended up playing Balatro the entire flight.
Oh, I don't blame you on that one. But then that got me into Black Sonata, right? And I was like, okay.
Oh, that one, okay.
A hidden movement one.
Yeah.
And I like that one a lot too. So I was like, okay, I got to get the other one now. So I got Maquis.
Oh, okay.
While I was up in Albuquerque a week and a half ago, when you were busy gaming, I bought Maquis and I learned how to play it. This is a one-player worker placement game.
Oh, that's cool.
And again, I want to emphasize this. None of these games should work.
As a one-player game.
None of them.
Trick-taking?
Worker placement, hidden movement, deduction. None of these should work. All of these work really well. In this, you are basically French rebels trying to, stave off the Nazis, complete missions, all that stuff. Try and just do your best to keep morale high enough while being able to send out your workers without getting too many of them arrested, but while completing in various missions.
Okay, so you're basically the resistance, the French resistance.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And during Germany occupied France,
yeah.
right? And so what's interesting about it and how it works and how it handles worker placement. So standard worker placement rules. If I put a meeple out on one of the locations, the AI player can't, right?
Yeah.
And so what you do is you flip over a card, and it'll have 3 locations. And those 3 locations, it starts at the first one. If it's open, it'll put an officer there. If it's not open, because either you put it there or there's already an officer there, then it'll go to the second location and try it again. And go to the third. If for some reason all 3 of those are occupied and that card flips up, then it starts arresting from the top down. And it will arrest you. When your meeple is arrested, it's removed from the game.
Oh,
and there are ways to get them back, but you only have a pool of 5 total, and you only have you start with 3. So you can only really get 2 more. And as long as all of them don't get arrested, because that is one way to lose, then you lose. But here's how this works, though. You have a safe location, and you have a couple other locations that you can spend resources to build other locations into it. And you can get another safe house there.
Yeah.
At the end of a round, each of your meeples have to be able to bridge a path to one of the safe houses. If they are unable to do so, because there's an officer in the way, they would then get arrested. And there's certain locations that it'll say, okay, if it has a shield, you can still get the benefit because you completed what you needed to do. And missions are at the very top of the board, like 5 locations away. So you might put a meeple on a location just so you're like, okay, if this way the officer can't be here, so I can't bring it on either path. Eventually, soldiers start coming in, which automatically start making arrests. There's other ways to mitigate it. But you're just trying, like, you might get, like, a weapon, right?
Yeah.
And if you decide to shoot an officer, that's when the soldiers come in. You can do that, but you lose morale because you've resorted to violence. And that will end up bringing more officers likely in as you're playing the game. It's wild, man. It shouldn't work. There's, like, 12 mission cards, and you bring out, like, 2 of them every game, and you have to complete those. So they're all variables. There's 3 levels of missions. There's, like, starter and easy, there's medium, and then there's like even giant cards that are like tarot size cards where you have to do like this, then that, then this, then that, and those are like the advanced missions. So it was a really cool game. I didn't think I was going to like it as much, but darn it, Side Room Games, like, how do you keep doing this? Like, genuinely. I'm so
the
impressed
Grove
with
is a
this.
dice placement game.
Yeah.
For Northwood is a trick-taking solo game.
Yep.
The Black Sonata is the deduction one. Yep. This one is a worker
hidden
placement.
Movement deduction.
Hidden movement deduction.
Yep.
What the heck, man?
Yeah, I have another one of their games called Mechanical Beast, which is a tile lane game, but it's a multiplayer one.
Oh, okay.
So I'm really, because of all these, I'm just more and more excited to try this stuff. So.
And they're local, right? They're New Mexico?
They're from New Mexico. They're from Albuquerque. Yeah.
Nice. Okay,
they're based
cool.
out of Albuquerque, which represent New Mexico, right? That's right. So, yeah, that was Maquis from Side Room Games. So, let's get into today's episode. Top 8 debate, Arcane Wonders. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready for this. I really dig all these games on this list, except for one, but I'm fine with the game. I'll play it if others want to play it. But this is one of the few times I think I owned or own almost every single one of these games. The only one I never owned is the one I don't like.
Yeah. And now, I know one of them. This is the bigger one, right? This is not the small one that I hated.
Which one? Number 4?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the bigger one.
Okay, cool. That was the one I did like. Okay, cool.
Yeah. No.
So actually, I don't dislike any of these. Honestly.
Yeah. I don't own the 2-player one anymore, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And it's just for the simple fact that it sat on my shelf and got dusty, in all honesty.
Sure. No, I get it. You're shaking your head. I get it. No,
I see you mouthing in the screen. You know what?
This light
do not buy his
really
games.
Well. This light works really well, doesn't it? Yeah, it really brings out the expression. All right, so we always have, of course, our honorable mentions.
Yeah.
The top 8 we'll go over which ones we'll be debating here in a minute.
Oh, and then I also got to pull something up. So.
Remember, the way that we get these top 8 games is we go to BoardGameGeek.com, rank it by that publisher or whatever criteria that we're ranking it by.
Mm-hmm.
We pick the top 8 games that Daniel and I have both played, and then so that way we have a sound argument for them. We'll go into the G.A.M.E.R criteria here in a moment, but that's why we have specifically these 8 games, because Daniel and I have both played them, so we can both make an argument for it.
Yeah.
I'll flip the coin of Doom, he'll pull from the Cup of Doom, and then that will decide which game what player debates.
You doing all right there?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I had dinner right before this, so I'm like burping. I'm trying not to gross people out on the podcast. So my apologies.
But grossing me out is fine. I see how it is.
That's fine. Yeah, you have to deal with me anyway. So, but I don't want to gross other people on the podcast. So, with that being said, let's talk about some honorable mentions.
We're going to talk about the people's honorable mentions because they got 3 as well.
That's right. So, first off, Gary added Mage Wars, which again, you said you've never played.
I've never played this one.
I have played it. It's kind of cool.
It's older, right? 2012 or something like that?
Yeah, 2012. In Mage Wars, you have like basically a spell book. And your spells are like spell book. It's kind of like a Magic style game, but instead of a deck of cards or a hand, you actually have that book.
It's like a binder almost. Yeah. I've never played it, but I know what you're talking about because I think, speaking of Dice Tower, Tom Vassell swore by this one for a while. Yeah. He played it a lot with his daughters.
It was a really cool game. Yeah, so I get why Gary recommended it.
All right, Nick added a game that I do want to try. I heard really good things about this one. This is Freedom 5. This is also in the Sentinels of the Multiverse, I think, and I think their company went bankrupt. The original, because it's not bankrupt, they got shut down because isn't the same
Greater
people,
Than Games.
Greater Than Games did it. So yeah. So if you could find a copy of this, I think
they still exist, but
sort of
maybe a skeleton.
Yeah, but Freedom 5 looks really cool.
Yeah, and then Chris recommended Frozen Frontier.
Now that one I'm not familiar with.
Yep. Now, were there any others that were added on there? No, I guess not. So then now it's just our honorable mentions. Were any of those ones that you've played?
No, I haven't played any one of those 3 that were honorable mentions. I do want to try Freedom 5, but other than that, have not played any of those 3.
Cool. Well, let us begin with our honorable mentions. Here we go.
Coin of Doom. And that would be me. First game I want to talk about is the more relatively new version, or new game that Arcane Wonders has come out with. It's a fun little party game that I like to say is a combination of Timeline meets Just One meets...
I knew this was going to be on your list.
Meets Wavelength in a sense. And this is Ito. It's a really neat game. You're going to have a hand of numbers, and then you're trying to put them in order with the group. And so someone's going to have a topic like Disney villains, and you're going to look at your number and be like, ooh, do I go obscure with my Disney villain? Because you can say whatever you want. It's not one word answers. What you're trying to do is rank your villain like by the cool factor, whatever the question is, like cool Disney villains or something like that, or well-known Disney villains. Oh. So I have like the number 7, so I was like, okay, I got to go like a real obscure Disney villain. And so you get stuff like, I had to come up with something like, oh, you know who's not a real obscure, even though it's one of your favorite Disney movies, not a lot of people know this character's name. So I had to go with Madame Mim.
Oh man, she's better than a 7, bro.
But she's obscure. Not a lot of people know her actual name. If it wasn't for was it Villainous that had her, people wouldn't have known her name.
True.
So I was like, okay, I had to do that. And you have to put it in timeline order. You want to put your 7s lower, your numbers higher. So someone was like Ursula, and I'm like, okay, Ursula's real famous, so that's probably like an 80 or something like that. Probably. So the next number I got to put on this list is like a 70 somewhere on here. So I was like, who is not as famous as Ursula, because Little Mermaid is basically the start of the Renaissance. So I was like, okay, who I got to think of something like in the 70s, like an Oliver Twist villain or something like that. And I couldn't think of one. But yeah, you just do stuff like that. I really do like it. Like I said, it's like Wavelength, where you're trying to put within the right region, based on your number, timeline, or by putting the numbers in the same thing, or just one, because you're giving clues to clue into where your card is and stuff like that. So I like what this does. Ito, fantastic game from Arcane Wonders.
Cool. First one I want to talk about is Senshi from Arcane Wonders. This one, it came shortly after Onigama got famous, and it has that same, sepia tone, like, or parchment paper style, traditional Japanese art, like, really pretty. And this one, you're basically, you're building stacks of stones or little plastic chips, and you're gonna be taking groups of them or taking a bunch from the top of different groups, and you're basically just trying to kind of like get majorities in these different ways. You're scoring them. You want to have a balance as well. So like it's been a while since I played it, so forgive me, but like I think both your highest and your lowest don't count, or they cancel each other out, something to that effect. Either way, Senshi is a beautiful game. I remember I've had it in my collection for a long time. I need to get back to the table because it's been a really long time since I played it, actually.
Nice. I have not played this one, in all honesty.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about your next game while I do something I need to do.
This guy, he gets on my case for not being prepared. Let me tell you.
Hey, I just got back from vacation, all right? My mind is a little...
That's right, you're gone. I spent more time in your house than you did.
Yeah, you did.
Thankfully, with your invite. First,
yeah.
Your
you
request.
have a key to the house now.
That's true. I've house sat your house more than times you've been in mine.
That's true. You have cats. I can't go over.
No, my wife has cats.
All right, your next game.
My next one is a game that is based off of, I think, a video game or an IP, maybe a mobile app or something like that. This is Age of Wonders Planetfall.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and
I figured this was going to be on your list. That's why I didn't put it on mine.
Yeah, I don't know anything about the IP, first and foremost. But when I played this game, I was incredibly impressed. I like what you're doing, how you're bidding on the different things by playing the numbers out. Like, it works really well. It's all simultaneous selection. You can play up to 6 players consistently. Going lower in rank might give you a better option for the next turn, whereas right now you might not have a great one. Some of them are more difficult to obtain or have more restrictions, or they might have more reasons not to, like they might hurt your scores in different ways. It's really cool. There's all sorts of different cards, some that give points, some that gives abilities, some that gives extra options later on, and tons of mitigation. This is one of those games that wanted me to look in. I wanted to look into the IP a little bit.
It's nothing like the IP, let me tell you. Because the IP is kind of like a StarCraft-esque game.
I'm good. But this board game, dope.
The board game is pretty cool. The video game I've played, it's Paradox, I believe, Interactive. Okay. They're the ones that do like Stellaris. They've also done not Age of Empires, Civ Kings, I think that's what it's called, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Crusader Kings, that's what it's called. So it's like these fantastic games, but that board game does not represent the video game. So it is.
Well, that board game is awesome. So
yeah, the board game is great. Yeah. My next game that I want to talk about here is, I don't think you've played this one yet. I played it with my other game group, and then you didn't play this game because I think it was like Gamehead Geek's pick. And he wanted to play this one. I think you couldn't come over to that one. But this one I do like a lot. Another one that has come over from Brazil. In fact, one of our in the top 8 debate is made by the same designer, I believe. It's Video Game Champions. Yep. First off, Table Leader. This thing will take up your table. It has a really cool drafting mechanism where you're taking one tile and then you use that tile to put in your tableau to help you play video games and stuff like that. But then the tile that you take, it's cross-section. You're either going to do the action on this side or above it. And so you're like, okay, I can't do this one because I can't take any more IOUs is what they're called. So I got to take this one. I'm going to Grandma's house, take away one of this IOUs and get a buck. Because I'm using this buck to go to the video rental store to rent a video game to try to compete it. And you're just trying to get different sets, different collections, trying to get most points at the end of the game to win. It is really well produced. Plus, you got like game magazines that you're trying to buy, which gives you little cheats and help you finish off a game. You're trying to, when you rent the game, you're trying to finish to a certain point because, like, okay, now that I finished this game, or at least the halfway point, now that I remember how to play this one, I only have to do less than what I originally do. And you're trying to get like long games done because they're going to give you more points at the end of the game, or you're trying to be like, I need to complete these sets because that's what the rule says up there. Because if I get that one, then I get those points. And there's a lot to this game. It is a fantastic, fun game. It tends to go longer than you would expect for a game with this kind of theme. In fact, I think it's one of the longer games that Arcane Wonders puts out, and you wouldn't expect that. But it's a fantastic game. I like everything about it. Video Game Champions.
And the last one I want to talk about is a game I love simultaneous play puzzle games. This is true and true a puzzle game, but with a very unique theme. You're gathering folks together for a picture. Picture Perfect is my favorite honorable mention. I think this is just such a fun little clever game. Each character has a
Spiel
little
winner,
envelope.
right?
No, I think it was a nominee.
Oh,
It's
okay.
not a Spiel winner for sure. But each character has a little envelope that you put 3 cards, and that's kind of like what they want. Like, some might want to be in the front row. Some might want to be on the side. Some might not want to be in front of anybody because they're bashful. Some might be don't want to be in the same picture as somebody else, and so they want to cover them up. Or some don't want to be standing next to other types of people. It's all sorts of different interesting categories that they can do. And sometimes that leads to conundrums where, like, certain ones will cancel each other out, which is hilarious. But since everybody's going to score every character at the end of the game anyway, that's how it works. And what you're doing to play the game is over a series of, I think, 6 rounds, you have different ways of drafting these envelopes. Some you'll be trading with other players, some you'll be passing them along, some you'll be swapping or trading out with other ones or revealing certain information to everybody else. And you all just have to solve the puzzle as efficiently as possible. You're going to aim to try and get the most points. If you get 0 of their once, then you get negative point, which is pretty hilarious. It's not a game breaker, but it's still a pretty big swing. And it just works really incredibly well. I love this game. It's really great. This is never leaving my collection.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you played Ito?
Yeah.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we've both played each other's one of our honorable mentions because you have not played this other game that I'm
Okay.
about to talk about. It's a game that was given to me by Arcane Wonders before we left the G.A.M.E.R trade show last year of 2024.
Interesting.
This is Mother of Frankenstein.
And I own this. That's the thing. I own this. I haven't played it yet.
I do enjoy this one. It's a good puzzle game. Don't think of it as an escape room in a box kind of game.
Right,
It's more
'cause that's
of
what
a
it looked like.
Yeah, it's more of a puzzle game. You're trying to solve different puzzles.
Okay.
We've only solved one of the puzzles so far. We're gonna get back into it, I think, starting next week, because I have the expansions for it. I got Volume 2 and 3 just waiting to get played. But yeah, we really dug what the first puzzle was. We want to dig into it. We are thinking about either reviewing the first puzzle again or just redoing the puzzle again just to kind of get a remembrance because it's been a little bit since we played it. But I love the theme about it because it talks about Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, and she's making notes, and you're basically family members who are uncovering like these clues and these puzzles that she left that leads to this overarching story that goes through the different volumes. And so I want to see how this goes. I do enjoy this first puzzle. I thought it was really neat. And it's interesting how they incorporate it with some of the components that they have. I don't want to give any spoilers and stuff out there, but it's really neat how it works, and I want to see how it integrates with the other volumes. That's why I was like, when Arcane Wonders had their spring cleaning deal, I picked up the other 2 volumes for like $30. So I was like, okay, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I've been wanting to get them anyway, so this actually was just really cheap for me. So had a good time with it so far. I'll let you guys know when we get further along into it how it really went down. But I like that first puzzle, so Mother of Frankenstein.
Cool. Yeah, I do want to try this. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, with that being said, it is time for our top 8 debate, so let's get into it. First off, we have the number 1 seed, Foundations of Rome, going against
Our number 8 seed, Comic Hunters,
number 2 seed, Onitama,
versus our number 7 seed, Sheriff of Nottingham.
which is a CMON game now, but originally was published by Arcane Wonders. Number 3 seed, Furnace,
versus our number 6 seed, Aquatica.
going up against our number 4 seed, Smartphone Inc.
And going up against our 5th seed, World Wonders.
Yeah, I don't know. I messed up.
That's right. You're used to doing the
lower half. Yeah.
All right, and as always, we pair these up one by one, college football style bracket.
Brackets, yep. And they get reseeded. The highest seed moves on, or that moves on faces the lowest seed.
That's right. And we have our gamer criteria to take our bias out of it. There are 5 gamer criteria, and those are G is game immersion.
When we're talking about game immersion, is the game fun to lose? Player interactions, i.e. table talk or role-playing, as well as the memorable moments that make you stand up in a store and make everybody look at you.
And we have art and production, which is considered the art, the pieces and components, the overall production, could include the box, the inside of the box, all that stuff, and the graphic design. Daniel and I are both colorblind. Need I remind you, if you're not colorblind friendly,
we will knock you.
We will knock you down on that.
And the thing is, we're both red-green colorblind, but our shades are different. So if it affects me differently, it's going to affect him.
Yep.
And then finally, or not finally, but the next one is meaningful choice, impact on other players, depth of strategy, tactics, or skills, and do arbitrary choices or AP make a negative impact on the game.
And the E that's in gamer is simplicity and familiarity of the mechanism. Ease of play.
Ease of play, yeah. I was like,
simplicity and familiarity of the mechanisms, likelihood to get to the table, whether it's mechanism or theme, or is it easy to understand, learn, and or teach?
Man, we take 1 week off and we go off the rails.
We're also doing everything backwards. Normally I start us off.
And then finally, replay value, the R in Gamer. This is the length of time and scaling well. The minimum number of plays for the full experience. So a campaign game has a shoe-in on this one more so than not. And then the expandability. If it's already got an existing expansion, up to 1 future expansion, because if it has Volume 1, we're assuming there's going to be a Volume 2 somewhere down the line, or has been confirmed by the designer or publisher that an expansion is coming.
Cool. And with all said and done, if Daniel and I cannot agree on this, we have a tiebreaker vote. That's why it's so important that you go to the Board Game Revolution group on Facebook and vote for your favorites out of all these, and include your honorable mentions, which we bring up in the episode.
All right.
Ready to get into this?
I'm ready to get into this.
We're going to do our number 1 seed, Foundations of Rome, versus our number 8 seed, Comic Hunters, and I'll be starting us off.
I know which one you want.
Oh, yeah?
You got it, too. Foundations of Rome.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. You're making it sound like I don't like Comic Hunters.
I can already tell you who is losing in the art and production.
Yes. And that is because, unfortunately, even though this is an Arcane Wonders game, it's also have Spin Master, right?
Because they have the Marvel license.
Because they have the Marvel license. And it makes perfect sense, right? Spin Master, they don't do bad things at all. They tend to focus on trying to bring out good IP games and stuff. They just lack as far as the production goes. So, yeah.
Well, they want to also keep it at a relatively cheap price point, too.
Right, that's true. They want to make it for a mass market, which is pretty awesome. But Foundations of Rome, this is not talking Foundations of Metropolis for a reason. Foundations of Rome is the one that's in a 40-pound box. It's the size of a child's
with the expansion,
coffin.
2 40-pound boxes.
Yeah. It is absolutely insanely huge. Every player gets their own tray of buildings that is vacuum formed over the top. You open it up, you have all these 3D buildings as has your emblem on it that you're able to place out on the grid. That is also 3D. It's a beautiful production. We know that goes to it. But here's the thing. This is an Emerson Matsuuchi game. And this is one of the reasons why we just, idol him. Because he is a really impressively elegant designer. That's a term that's used a lot in board gaming, is a game elegant. His is almost always consistently just elegant, smart, simple, easy to learn, but
easy to teach.
Easy to teach, and great depth as far as the strategy goes. There's a lot of choice. You feel smart. There's so many things you can do. And I feel like this was honestly inspired by Acquire, in a way. It feels like Acquire. But
the way you're building up that central board is pretty cool.
Yeah, and the way you're able to lay down your polyomino buildings, the way that you're able to upgrade them. Yeah, the way you're able to bid on those, like it has a river that gets cheaper and cheaper, so you can go for buildings that might be worth your time, but then you have to give money essentially to the other players so that way they can get it.
But you also got to pay for the lots and make sure you have just enough of the lot to build that specific shape that you want to build.
Exactly, yep. And it's so clever because the bigger the buildings you get, the more points are going to be worth, or the better engine you're building, or the more money you're going to produce in between rounds. It's so smart. I like it. I don't see how this won't go on, personally. And don't get me wrong, I like Comic Hunters, but, I mean, this just seems like a shoo-in.
Here's my thing. I like Foundations of Rome. I think it's a fantastic game. I prefer Foundation Metropolis.
Same. I don't need a $400 game.
It is literally the same game.
Yep.
Lower price point for that matter. It's not as beautiful looking. I will admit that.
Sure.
But it's easier to fit on my shelf.
Yep.
That's the main thing. Is like, I would have to get rid of a whole section of games to put it on my shelf.
Yes.
So, because it's so massive. But it is a fantastic. It's well produced. It is. I like to make the joke about Foundations of Rome. It is the most expensive simple game that you can get out there because you have 3 actions roughly. You either bid on a card, or you put out a building, or you gain money. That is it. That's simple. But this thing is so overly produced. When we're talking about bang for your buck, this has a lot of bang on that buck because there's a lot of bucks put into this game.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. Comic Hunters is still a really good game. It's got really neat different drafts. It has a pick and pass draft, which you're not a huge fan of pick and pass drafts.
Sure.
But then it has a snake draft, which is kind of neat. Then it has this weird little, I'm going to move this card over here, and then I'm going to take all of these different cards that are that same thing.
Yep.
And what I like about this game, they're also multi-use cards. You're either using those cards to put into your set collection, or you're using those cards to pay for your comics that you're going to keep to put in your set collection. I thought that was really smart and really neat. The fact that they got the fantastic artwork from a lot of these classic comics, that's the reason why they went with Spin Master. That is where they're putting their money at, rather than the little chits in there. Those are the flimsiest chits that I've ever seen. I would love to get upgraded bits for this game.
They're almost like the thin, like Punchboard Magic the Gathering tokens that come in the deck boxes.
If anybody's familiar, the Travel for Cell has those little paper thin chits. This is a lot like that.
Oh yeah, it's that bad.
It is that bad. It's still a fantastic game. For me, for sure, the one thing Comic Hunters wins out of these categories is game immersion. Because 1, the game is fun to lose, and 2, you really do feel like you're collecting comic books. The pick and pass drafting is the brand new comics out, so you're going to be the first at the shelves to take that specific comic. That fits because there's only so much that are on those shelves unless you put it in your own portfolio. If anybody who collects comics know we're talking about here. But mainly that pick and pass draft is just first come, first serve to the new comics, which is really neat, and it fits thematically for a pick and pass draft.
It does.
And then the other drafts where you're going to like a flea market or a Comic-Con and doing all these really...
I like how they justified the different kinds of drafting with the theming of it. And it actually works.
It works really well. I think it's a fantastic... And that's why I said game immersion, hands down, is Comic Hunters. Because I, as someone who used to collect comic books, this really feels like it's like, oh, I need to go to the comic book shop to make sure I get those before everybody else gets there. Or make sure they're in my portfolio. Then I got into this hobby, and I had to choose which is going to be the more expensive hobby. So there's that. But it also leads to those memorable moments like, yes, I got this last Black Panther one I needed. Now I'm at this higher level. Or you're using this one little track that is reversed that's also your money. So it's like, ooh, do I want to bid? I'm going to lose points if I bid, but that could gain me more points. And so that little push and pull aspect there is really neat. I like everything about this game. I just don't see it moving on against Foundation of Rome, because Foundations of Rome's art and production through the roof. The only thing I will give Comic Hunters is the art and the art and production, because of the fact that they got the comics.
Yep.
If it was like generic, like Video Game Champions I talked about earlier, if it was generic, it wouldn't even get the art. But the fact that these are the comic book covers illustrated on the thing really knocked it out of the park for me.
Yep.
Ease of play. Comic Hunters is not a simple game. The learning the different draft mechanisms and the set collection, and oh, by the way, we're going to have these guys on here, but these are not going to be in there because a lot of those comics are like, oh, this has Iron Man and this has this, but we're not having Iron Man in this game because he's out of the game based on how we randomize the game.
Yep.
There's a lot of meaningful choice in this one, but the simplicity of the meaningful choice in Foundations of Rome is just... It's like, ooh, do I bid that or do I wait till it gets cheaper and hopefully it comes back to me? That sort of stuff that just really makes you feel clever when what you're doing on this one. So I agree with you. I think Foundations of Rome moves on, but Comic Hunters is a fantastic game.
Yeah, I gotta give it a shout out. I mean, it took a theme that I care absolutely zero about, and it made it really fun. So
I'm also glad they worked with Spin Masters to keep the theme on it, because I don't think this would work as well if it didn't have this theme, and they need that Marvel license for it.
I agree 100%. Cool. So Foundations of Rome moves on. Our next round is going to be Onitama versus Sheriff of Nottingham. The first versus the second Dice Tower, essentially.
Yeah.
Here we go. That'll be you starting us off.
All right. One of these things is not like the other.
Very much.
All right, and I get the one I like the best, Onitama.
That's fine.
Onitama was, I think, the first two-player game I ever owned. I don't own it anymore. My wife actually liked it, and that's when she used to play two-player games with me. I used to own a bunch of two-player games, but after a while, my wife just didn't want to play two-player games anymore. She'd rather play Minecraft on the PlayStation or stuff like that. So that's fine. She works hard. I don't care. You could say I hate two-player games that just don't get played. Most of the times when I play games, it's either by myself or 3 or 4 players. There's no way I'm going to get a two-player game in.
And it's weird how that works, right? Because, like, your wife likes gaming just fine. Just not just with you.
With you, yeah. Just with me, yeah.
Like, if it's... As long as other people are there other than you, it's fine.
Well,
like that's
I think for her, gaming is a social interaction.
That's right.
And if it's just us, she'd rather be watching a movie or watching TV together and cuddling on the couch or in the bed or stuff like that. So, you dirty man.
I said nothing.
Your eyes said it all.
I said nothing, sir.
But
this is a family show.
Yeah, but it's just that thing. I get it. Like, she'd rather watch a movie or play video games and stuff like that. Because my wife is a video game connoisseur. She loves playing video games. She takes a Switch with her every time she goes on a work trip. So that tells you what it is. But Onitama is so neat and so tactical. In replay value is through the roof. It has like 2 or 3 expansions, but just out of the base game, the entire time you're playing this game, you're only ever going to use 5 cards. I'm going to start with 2, you're going to start with 2, and there's going to be 1 in the middle. When I use a specific card, it allows me to move a piece a certain way. I take that card that I used, put it to the middle, and I take that 1 back. Then you use one of your 2 cards, and that goes to the middle, and it comes that card that I put in the middle goes to you. I love that. I think that is probably one of the smartest plays. Plus, the art in this game is fantastic. I love the art in this game. It is. It fits the theme. It does really cool, like the calligraphy and stuff like that. It feels that playmat that comes out. That is fantastic. The board, the box is a little weird shape, but I get it because it needs that playmat. The player pieces are fantastic. So art production is through the roof for this small little 2-player game. Don't really get the theme in this one.
Sure.
But you do get game immersion there. You feel clever. It's like, oh, if I do this, I'm going to get that card. And then, oh, but if I do this, I'm still going to get that card. But this allows me to put me in this situation here. And you're thinking tactical, like games like chess, where you're like, ooh, but if I do this, I got to think a couple moves ahead. It's like, okay, if I play this one, do I use this card? Do I use that card that's going to come to me? And it makes you think several moves ahead. And you feel really clever with what you're doing in this game. And so for me, I also think the meaningful choice in this game is through the roof. Because there is tactics here. There is skill. You have to think your moves ahead. You have to impact. It's like, do I want to give this really powerful card to him just yet? Or do I want to play this simpler card, do that, then grab that card and try to go capture his guy? Oh man, I really do dig what Onitama does. In fact, it was one of my favorite 2-player games for the longest time for that reason, because you do feel very tactical. You feel very clever. We were talking about it with Emerson Matsuchi, where it feels elegant. This really feels elegant. For an abstract strategy games, everybody knows how I feel about abstract strategy games. I love how this one works.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I mean, you brought up, like, I feel, yeah, there is a little bit of theme into it, right? You know, like, because of the fact that you're doing these martial arts moves, and you're doing the crane or
The monkey.
or the monkey or whatever, right? And you're moving in a pattern that would represent that animal, you know, and that's a cool little flair to it, and it feels like it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The production is great as well. Sheriff of Nottingham doesn't have the best production, but what it does have, it by far has the game immersion, and that's one of the cool things about the game itself.
Yeah.
Is it you don't like it because it's like negotiation bluffing.
I don't like bluffing.
You don't like bluffing, and here's
it's a
one of the
fun
things.
game, yeah.
This is one of the reasons why you tolerate this game, why you don't dislike it. You're like, I'll play it if people want to play it, because you can still win without bluffing.
Bluffing, yeah.
It is not a bluffing game. I say it's a negotiation game that you are able to bluff with, but you really don't have to. And the fact that it leaves it as it's not obvious whether you're bluffing or not leads into that game immersion so well. So the way Sheriff of Nottingham works, really simply, is that you have 4 different types of legal goods and some illegal goods as cards. You can bring in as many legal goods of a single type as you want per round. One player plays as the sheriff, and you load some cards into a bag, you hand it to the sheriff and say, I'm carrying 3 chickens. And you declare how many cards you have, and you can claim whatever type you want for it. It could be other legal goods, it could be the ones you claim, or it could be illegal goods, contraband. There's also money that goes around as well. So what would happen is, when you hand it, if Daniel was the sheriff and I hand it to him and I say there's 3 chickens in his bag, he has a choice. He can either open the bag and inspect it, in which case if he does and I was truthful, then he will be penalized. And that would be a detriment to him for wasting my time. However, if I lied, he would confiscate all the contraband or anything that wasn't declared properly, and I would have to pay him the penalty. Or he can send it back to me. And since there's money going around, you can offer, wheel and deal, and go, yeah, I'll give you 5 coins. You're doing great, Sheriff. Keep up the good work. Yeah. By the way, those are 3 chickens. You can hear them clucking, and you play up into that. And so many times I've seen during this game where people like lift it up and like, yeah, it smells like bread. I think you're right. I think you're being honest with me. Here you go. I'm going to trust you for now. And then when they pop that open and then slide in some contraband underneath their board, you just look at them like, oh, you done messed up. And it's
everybody else at that table's not going to trust you now.
Oh, exactly, right? And out of all of the games, as for game immersion, this is the number 1 as far as all of these 4 go. The others are probably more clever, and they're probably functionally a better game. But game immersion, nothing compares to this, in my opinion. Comic Hunters gives it a slight, like...
Yeah, I was going to say, Comic Hunters is probably the closest.
The closest, but I don't think it outright. Because this just becomes outrageous.
No, but you also play Comic Hunters with me and Gamehead Geek, and him and me were geeking out on it. It's like, oh, I remember this comic.
Right, but the fact that the player interaction when you're role-playing and table talking, that is this game. That is the whole point
That is the point of the game, yeah.
If it didn't have that, and you had
this used to be called something else, right? Like Robin
Hood.
Yeah.
Robin Hood, yeah. But there's so many other games that are named Robin Hood, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I really do like this game, although I don't disagree with you. I think Onitama wins on a few categories. Art and production. When that first came out, I remember I spoke with the people at Arcane Wonders at the G.A.M.E.R Expo. Or it was the G.A.M.E.'s trade show at the time.
Well, it was the G.A.M.E.R Expo at the time.
No, it was the G.A.M.E.R trade show at the time.
Oh, that's right. It was a trade show. We were at the expo.
Ago. Yeah. They showed me the box. I'm like, yeah, this looks really intriguing. They're like, do you know why we made it that way? Did I ever tell you this story? Why they actually made that box that way?
No.
They're like, because a nice bottle of scotch would be in there.
Oh.
And we wanted people to know that this is a luxury item. And it's like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing.
I get that, yeah.
And it really does. And the mat that rolls out, the neoprene mat, the pieces are abstracted but pretty. It looks like parchment. It looks cool.
That's the reason why I like that neoprene mat, because it felt like it was you're rolling out a scroll.
Yeah, exactly. It feels so cool. So, art and production, don't get me wrong, the Sheriff of Nottingham, the production is fine. Cards are a little thin, but they don't need to be thin. But the problem is the buttons from their version constantly broke.
Yeah.
Most of the buttons on mine are broken. And they actually have in the rules that when you hear that audible snap when you open it, that's when that they've declared that they're opening it. You can't go back. You can't re-snap it even if you don't look in the bag. Too bad. You made that decision. Snap.
Can't do it anymore.
You can't do it anymore if the buttons are broken.
Yeah.
So that's annoying. Although I like the bags, and it's like, so I got to give that to it. Art and production is Onitama. Ease of play is Onitama, and meaningful choice is Onitama. Easily.
I agree.
Replay value.
I know there's two expansions for Onitama. There's the Win one, and I forget what the other one is, but there's two expansions.
Yeah, and there's two. There's one expansion, one expand alone, or the Robin Hood.
Yeah, but that's
Disney
a
one.
That's an Arcane Wonders. The Robin
But
Hood
it's still another version of the game.
Yeah.
Regardless, but either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Onitama.
All right.
Yep. We agree with that. Onitama.
Yeah, the only one like I said, I will play it, but my issue is just I don't like the bluffing game aspect of it. It's really neat. It is funny. It's a barrel of laughs.
And which is wild because like a game that doesn't require bluffing, just because there is some of it, makes you dislike it more than you notoriously hating on the two-player games, right? I mean, that's the wild part. Our next one is Furnace versus Aquatica. Battle of the Engine Builders. Here we go.
All right, and I get Aquatica.
Okay.
This is probably the toughest category for me because these are two of my favorite of the Arcane Wonders line.
Same.
I like Aquatica a lot. I think it is the harder of the two games, so it's not winning ease of play. That's the one for a fact that I won't get. Because Furnace is just a straight-up engine building. You just bid on what you're doing. You have different numbers bids. Aquatica, you have to be like, okay, I'm taking this card, and now I got to put it up here, and then eventually I could do this action where I could slide it. And teaching people that aspect of when you can buy certain cards on the list where they're either going to be more expensive or cheaper is a little tricky, and then the whole sliding mechanism is a little tricky too. It's like, okay, now that you've done this, you can push this up a little bit. Now that this is done, you need to do this action to take these because they're treasure cards, and you can turn them into treasure, and that's your points at the end of the game. Other than that, the boards are fantastic. The artwork is through the roof. This is probably one of the prettiest games on this list. Mm-hmm. I love everything about this. The little manta rays are pretty cool. I have one issue. It is sometimes hard to read certain things on this game. Like the board, the original board itself, where it has the different... like, okay, I did this, now I have to flip this over here and do this, and then I got to flip these mana rays over because I used them for this ability. Okay, which ability is that one? Because the iconography is a little much, but it's not horrible. But you also have your mantas, and then there's also mantas that you can get somewhere down the game, and it's like, okay, wait, which one did I use now? Was it mine or was it this one? That kind of thing. Other than that, the game is really good. The game immersion of this one, it's cool. I think Furnace, you feel a little bit more clever. You feel like you're a factory owner, so I think you get more of the memorable moments in that aspect of it because you're feeling like, oh, this is happening. But man, once you get, it's like, okay, if I do this, because it has one of my favorite mechanisms, the pickup, or is it, I forget what it's called, but it's like you have a hand of cards, you play it down, and you can't get those back up until you play a card to get the Concordia mechanism. Yeah. We've done a whole top 8 debate on that mechanism alone.
Yeah.
Action retrieval. And
very specific.
Yeah, I really dig that mechanism. I want more games that do stuff like that because it's really cool. It's like, oh, I'm doing this. Now I can do this and this and this, and now I can trigger this, and you're sliding. And once that engine starts firing, it works really well. You're like, okay, now I feel clever, and you can get more powerful cards in your deck if you... I want to call them lords. I forget what their actual term is because I'm thinking Abyss. The Abyss terms, but you're getting new cards in there that can trigger better stuff. The expansions are really neat. I haven't played the newest one yet. I do own it. I just want to get to the table. It's just... I love everything about Aquatica. It has a lot of meaningful choice. You can impact other players. You have a lot of strategies like, do I play this card or do I do this one? Or do I take back what I need back into my hand and play another card again? Because I need to get more resources or slide something, those kind of things. Because you need resources to buy new cards in there that you can put in your thing. But it's like, I really need to push these up because I need to empty this slot over here if I can get a new card in here, if I can start getting more treasure. I adore this game, though it is not the easiest game to learn or to teach. I've had a struggle teaching this game with some people in my other game group. They're just like, okay, how do we do this again? So it is a bit rough. But man, I don't know. What do you think?
So Furnace, yeah, I mean, again, it's another engine builder, right? You feel really clever. You like you said, you bid out on the different cards that are available each round. You only play 4 rounds, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. There's a lot of cool decision space.
Mm-hmm.
You get to activate every single card every single round, which is wild. Because you're getting all of these cards and a plethora of them, and you're trying to go, okay, this one will convert this resource. This one will give me points for this resource. If I do this one first, I can get more, so I can trade it for more points while still having enough to convert this over and get this one. And you are able to do this in this direction where you're getting all of these wild points in different ways in building the engine. My only criticism with this game, which I really like this game. This was a damn dom for me.
Oh, yeah.
And by far, it's so fun how it works. My only criticism is, I think, and this isn't really much of a criticism, I think they made the right choice of making it 4 rounds. I feel any more and it would get entirely unruly.
It would.
Because it ramps up. The last round is half of the game.
Yeah, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
boom.
you're activating so much. And thankfully it's simultaneous, right? So it's not a big deal. But you're still going, okay, well, if I do this here, then... okay, now I can do this one, I can do this one. And there's a variation where you have to play them in order. And you can skip doing them if you want, but you still have to activate them. I would hate that. That's so awful. But the way it works now is absolutely fantastic. Really, though, the components, I don't think justify the packaging. It's small components for a really big case.
Yeah.
It's kind of small. Whereas
But they have enough room for the expansion.
They do, yeah, which is cool. Aquatica, though, I mean... I think art and production goes to Aquatica.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
Because...
It's very basic 1980s Victorian engines.
1980s?
Or 1880s,
Yeah,
sorry. Victorian era.
But it looks all grimy and stuff, and that's on purpose.
It's neat,
supposed to look like the old factory
Industrial
style,
Revolution.
The Industrial Revolution. And it pulls out across, but your discs that you bid with are just, circle with tokens on it.
With numbers on them.
Think thematically, right?
Yeah.
Your cards are fine. Your art's fine. Whereas Aquatica, I'm a sucker for nautical themes, as we've already talked about. I really, really like it when we have aquatic themes and stuff, which is why I want to try Deep Sea Endeavor. I love that. But here's the thing, right? As much as I like Furnace, I think it's still more complicated than Aquatica, and I'll tell you why I think that.
I disagree with you, but go ahead.
Right. And this is just for my reason why I think it's more complicated. Is because when you're playing it, you have to time out one card, then that triggers this one, then that triggers this one, and you have to have this like hierarchy of things to do, and then it's almost like you're building your own tech tree every single time, and that can get analysis paralysis really, really, really a lot. And especially if you're playing with that variation I was telling you about, like the advanced mode or whatever, where you have to do it. That would hurt your brain so bad. AP is a huge factor in this game.
AP is a huge factor in Aquatica, though.
I don't feel it's as much because of the fact that since all you're doing is you are functionally just playing a card from your hand, right? It's not about how am I... What order...
No, you're not.
No, but that's the thing. Like, if you're like, I want to trigger this thing, but I've already played the card, then I know what my turn is. I have to play the card to retrieve my cards. Okay, cool. It's like, well, if I want to do this more than once, I need to get a card that will do it. Like, it kind of like... It gives you a lending hand, in my opinion. Don't shake your head yet. I'm just saying that's, in my experiences, this is why that is.
I taught this to multiple groups. Aquatica, just because there's so many moving parts in Aquatica. Furnace, because it's like, I could be like, just trigger it where it makes sense to you. Go step by step until you get how it works when you're triggering your things. Aquatica's like, okay, I'm doing this, now I'm sliding this, and now this is going on, and this is going on, and stuff like that. So, it, to the point, like, another group doesn't want me to bring it over anymore. Because they had such a struggle with it.
No, I get that, and I've felt that same. But when you're in like rounds 3 and 4, that's when the AP, even though it started to make sense at first because you only have like a fourth of the cards, that's when it gets a little bit more. Oh, we have a chatter. Yeah, our favorite trick-taking game. Let me come back to that. Oof, that's tough. Probably Pepper is probably my favorite, and that's a traditional one. President is also pretty cool. No, that's not True Taking. That's Ladder Conquer. Anyway, so game immersion. Which one do you think is more immersive? Which one's more fun? I feel Aquatica is more fun to lose because of the combos.
I feel the Aquatica is more fun to lose.
Right. Player interaction, neither. And memorable moments, I think that combo leads to that.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just a matter of like, oh, I've converted this into this and that. Like, everyone's like, yeah, so did we, right? We did that. But you might have taken a really long turn in Aquatica where you're like, I'm going to use this card, which will jump this one up, which will let me score this, which will let me do this. And everyone's watching like, what is going on over there? Like, that's really... I feel like that's more clever than everyone simultaneously just playing it out and converting resources, more or less.
Yeah.
So I think game immersion, personally, I think goes to Aquatica.
Art
and production, same. Meaningful choice, though, I think that's Furnace.
Yeah, I think so, too. But just because of the simple fact that the way you trigger... And there is a little bit more player interaction in Furnace because you're bidding on different things.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I forgot about that. Let's just call it ease of play a wash, honestly, because I think
both of them are a little bit tricky, and
they're both heady.
Both of us are not budging on that.
Right. But replay value though.
Aquatica. Yeah, just because of
they can play more players.
It can play more players. It has 2 expansions, and it also has minimum number of plays for the full experience with this one. You play Furnace one time, you're fine. It's one expansion for Furnace that just recently came out.
Right.
So.
And you know what the weird thing is? Furnace is simultaneous play, but I think it feels longer
it's just as long,
than Aquatica. Yeah.
It's just as long.
Which is one player at a time.
Yeah.
So, all right, that means Aquatica moves on.
And with it being number 6, it moves on to face... Oh, God.
Yep, it'll face off against Foundations of Rome in the next round. All right, so... Yeah, favorite trick-taking game. What was Little Devils for you, huh?
Yeah, Little Devils. Yeah, that's the one that is the most played game for us.
Yeah, Trickster is pretty good. But
Fort Northwood is one that I play a lot too.
Fort Northwood is really cool. Yeah, I do want to try Lord of the Rings. I was tempted to buy it the other day. I don't have a group though that would play.
Oh, I like it a lot, dude. Yeah. It is really cool.
All right. Anyway, now our next round we are going to go Smartphone Inc. versus World Wonders, and you'll be starting us off again.
I actually love both of these games, too.
This coin is favoring you today.
For once.
For once. Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah. All right, so I get Smartphone Inc. And what's funny, I'm the only one that owns both of these games.
I own neither.
Out of our game group, I own both of these. And I think Geek now owns World Wonders.
Okay.
I think he finally picked it up or got it for Christmas, something like that.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
So the one I get to talk about is Smartphone Inc. And what's funny is... What I find really interesting about Smartphone Inc., I want to play it with more people. We only played it with 3 players, and which means a lot of the board was kind of shut off for us.
Yep.
I want to play it at the full 5-player count.
Which is weird.
Yeah. I always say, no, 4 is my limit when it comes to these kind of games. I want to play this at 5 players, because we've only played it at 3 players. And I like everything about this one. It took me a little bit to kind of remember... But I love it. Speaking of engine builders, this one is engine building in a sense where you're building a mobile market and you all start in different regions and you're trying to spread out your markets. You're trying to increase your phones. You're trying to meet the demand of public and sell your phones to them to a certain point because you want to get that money, to use that money to build your mobile market a little bit more, to expand. Say, I'm starting in Africa, so I want to expand maybe into Asia or to the Middle East and stuff like that, or into Europe. And you have all these little things. And it's kind of area control in a sense, whoever has the most map there too. But at the end of the game, it's most points at the end of the game, just like every other of these one of these games really. Yep. But I love everything about it, and you feel really clever where you're like, oh, this is going on, and oh, this is going on, and oh, I did this now, and oh, I did this now. And then you're like, no, don't you come into my country over here. You stay over there. You stay in South America. You get out of Africa right now. It has a lot of those player interactions, even at 3 players, because you're like, why are you spreading out over here? Get back over there.
Yeah.
No, I like everything about this game. It has a lot of good, meaningful choice in there. It's all about like, do I want to trigger this, or do I want to gather more of these resources and sell these really cheap phones for easy money, or do I want to get these specialized phones to hit these customers that want these specialized phones? And we were very hesitant to play this one because we played the smaller version of it first, and we were like,
hated it.
Ooh, no, that was not good. And I had this one sitting on my shelf.
You're being a lot kinder. I hated it.
And I was sitting there like, ooh, I'm really hesitant about this one. You're like, no. Everything I've heard, this one is the better game.
Right.
We played it, and both of us were like, this just seems so much better than Mobile Market. I like the fact that we really went in with low expectations and really did enjoy this one. It not the prettiest of games when it comes to like the art and production, because it's just a world map and with lines.
Trying to go for an obvious Apple aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know.
Or a mobile market in a sense, like you see like in T-Mobile or something like that, how it spreads out and stuff like that. It's fine. The graphic design is probably its weakest point, but the meaningful choice and actually ease of play. The mechanisms are real simple to grasp. It's like I do this, and then that triggers that, and I can sell to these people, and then my levels here. And that's what I liked about this one more than
Don't you point that finger at me?
Mobile Markets, was the fact that how much easier it was to read where your levels were on this thing.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, I can do this, so now I know what I'm doing. It was so much easier to read than Mobile Markets. I liked everything about this. I think it has one expansion, or one or two expansions. So, yeah. So mobile Smartphone Inc. I do like a lot, but I also like World Wonders, and it does have one expansion, by the way.
It does. World Wonders. So what's cool about this is that it feels almost in a way reminiscent of, Foundations of Rome. At first, I thought this was almost like a ripoff of Foundations of Rome when I saw it, because you're building these wonders that are effectively polyominoes. You're trying to get the right amount of roads. You're trying to get the right kind of landscapes that surround the different kinds. But what makes it interesting is that each of the different wonders that you end up building has their own ability, has their own benefit for doing so. And I like how, again, it's a simultaneous puzzle is what it is. I can take this piece of a road, which I need for this, in order to build that wonder, or I can take this one, which will help me get there, but I see you're also going for it, so you'll probably get there before me, so maybe I should start banking on this wonder, or maybe I should just wait it out and see what's coming up next.
What's coming up, yeah.
And so there's that cool give and take of going back and forth.
And I also like, and I need to mention this one too, is like, whenever you're taking a piece off the board, it doesn't refill to the next round, except for the World Wonders. They constantly replenishing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and so that's just yet another good choice, right?
Yeah.
Like you have these ones where it's like, okay, stuff is constantly changing. You're taking the pieces you want, but that determines how you place the next ones. That determines if you can even get the wonders. And yeah, I mean, it's a puzzly little engine building thing in a way, right? I like it. It's polyomino. Again, I feel it's very similar to Foundations of Rome. While doing enough different, I think it's worth bringing that fact up, that I genuinely thought this was a sequel to Foundations of Rome when I saw it.
And then I told you it's from Brazil, not Emerson Matsuji.
Right. And then but I mean, it could still been. It was from the same publisher, apparently. Not originally.
Not originally.
But still, Arcane Wonders published both of them, right? So, if you like Foundations of Rome, there's a very good chance you'll like this as well. Mm-hmm. As far as Smartphone Inc., I was pleasantly surprised when we played it.
I think this was also a Cosmodrome originally that they brought over.
Yes.
Aquatica, we just mentioned.
Uh-huh. Yep. And I like it, but again, it was fine. It was good. And I was very much soured because of the mobile market.
Yeah.
Which shouldn't have a bearing, right?
Yeah.
That's just when I played, I was like, okay, this is I get why this is popular. But really, shame on you for making the last one, right?
Yeah.
And I couldn't help but shake that from my mind. Because I know that if I would have gone into that, it would have been the same as the dice game for Terraforming Mars, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you played Smartphone Inc. first and then you played Mobile Markets, you're probably not going to be a happy camper.
No.
So, take that as you will. Let's break these down between the two. World Wonders is easier to play.
Oh, yeah, much easier.
And I think it has better production.
Oh, yeah. Those wooden wonders are just fantastic.
Yeah, they're really cool.
And like I said, Smartphone Inc. is kind of ugly. The graphic design is real well done, and it's easy to read a lot of that stuff in Smartphone Inc.
It's clear what they're going for, but that's also, the people who own these mobile companies are systematically non-offensive is how they design everything. Yeah. Everything's a sleek, minimalistic approach that nobody could go, I hated the curve in that logo. No, there's no, it is chemically made to do that.
I don't know. those Motorola flip phones are annoying me. The ones that are the touchscreens on the other side.
Sure, I get that. But that has nothing to do with their branding.
No, it doesn't. But it
Exactly.
just.
So, I mean...
No, I don't disagree. I just say I wanted to call that out because they're ugly. Because we just had to buy my wife a new phone, and we were looking at it like, oh, those things are just ugly.
Well, I mean, like, it's one of those weird things where it's like, did you know that brands can actually copyright certain shades of color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the Home Depot orange, or there's also like the Domino's blue, you know?
Yep.
Well, T-Mobile has its own, right? That purple, that is copyrighted. Their shade is copywritten. And so if you were doing anything else with that purple, you're fine. But if you did anything that's mobile themed, that's that purple, you're out. You know, you're done for.
I'm not surprised because there's a football team that has copyrighted turf.
Yeah.
The blue turf of Boise State.
So it's stuff like that where it's like knowing what they had to do to make mobile markets seem like what it is. It's like they were required to make it bland, but that doesn't make it not bland.
Meaningful choice.
I personally think that
there's more impact on other players, I think, in Smartphone Inc.
Yeah.
Because, you're bidding on the things,
areas,
but I could also get more roads in the next round or something like that. And I'm not hurting too bad if you take a World Wonder from me because I can see what comes up next.
Sure, yeah. But depth of tactics, like setting your board up the right way for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then the way the buildings have to be connected in certain ways.
And how your benefits from the wonders are going to help you out with the future turns. That, I think, is more important.
And then the fact of how you're spending your money, because like once you buy a wonder, all your money's gone.
Yep. So we're thinking World Wonders?
I think in World Wonders, yeah.
Okay. Easy to play is World Wonders.
Yeah.
And Art and Production is World Wonders. So that moves on.
Yeah. All right. World Wonders.
Cool. That is it for the quarterfinals. We're going to be going into the semifinals here in just one moment with Foundations of Rome versus Aquatica and Onitama versus World Wonders. But before we get into that, Daniel, tell them what were the votes from the games that just got eliminated.
All right, the first game that was eliminated was Comic Hunters, and it was sitting at 5% of the vote.
Okay.
And then you had Sheriff of Nottingham, which was eliminated. It also had 5% of the vote.
Yep.
Furnace, which was eliminated by our 6th seed Aquatica, it had 14% of the vote. It is getting a lot of love.
Yep.
Then you had Smartphone Inc., which just got eliminated, as you heard, and they were sitting at 5% of the vote. So, I mean, there's a good mix here. You have three of the 4 games that we talked about at the same vote get.
Yep.
Out of 74 votes, mind you, I put this up a little late today. Like I said, I'm still on vacation brain.
It happens.
So.
It happens. No worries. All right. Shall we get into semifinals?
Let's get into it.
All right. Foundations of Rome versus Aquatica. Daniel, you'll be starting us again.
That quite likes me today.
It does.
All right. I get Aquatica.
Okay.
Ooh, this is a tough one because Aquatica is not getting easy to play for me.
These are probably my 2 favorite from here.
Out of these 4,
I like Sheriff though a lot.
Sheriff got eliminated.
I know. I'm saying like, out of
all the games.
Out of all the games, yeah.
I was talking just out of these top 4s. World Wonders and Foundations of Rome is probably my 2 favorites. So I'm glad they're not head to head right now. We could see if they go head to head. It would have to take them both winning in the semis.
Yep.
So Aquatica is not winning easy to play because Foundations Rome is so simple. It's 3 actions, like I said. You either bid on a card, or not bid on a card. You just buy a card, or you put out your building out there if you have the lots, or you get money. It's that simple.
Yep.
But Aquatica itself, the art style is fantastic. The production value is really good for what it is. I mean, yeah, you have all these fantastic buildings, but for that price point, I'd rather have Aquatica. The buildings are really nice. Don't get me wrong. But I have Foundations of Metropolis. I don't need Foundations of Rome. Because for me, it is all about the bang for your buck. I spent way too much money for how simple the game is. Because that was my big issues with Foundations of Rome. It is a fantastic game. It is a lovely game. It cost way too much money for that game. And that's why I was happy they made the smaller version of it. The meaningful choice in Aquatica, I think, just sings a little bit better because of the card play that you're doing. It's a lot more tactical. Because sometimes there's cards up there that you really don't need because they're the opposite side where you're already building your lots. It happens. Doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened. Though you do tend to have a lot more arbitrary choices in Aquatica too, is like, do I play this card or do I play that card? Unless you have the one turn where it's like, I have to play this because all my cards are down there. That kind of thing. Which is in a sense an arbitrary choice too, because you don't really get to make a choice. It's basically, I gotta play this card now. The AP in Aquatica is a detriment sometimes, whereas the arbitrary choice sometimes you'll get is just, this is the only card I have, this is what I have to play. That kind of thing. I am in two minds with both of these games because I love everything about what both of these games do. And the replay value, Foundations of Rome is basically the same game every time you play it because you're always just going to get buildings out there. It does have an expansion I have not played, which does do a little bit different, but I don't think as much that the other two expansions for Aquatica do because because they have the different maps or the different in-game scoring. There's like a territorial thing, if I remember correctly, in one of the expansions. The most recent one with the coral reefs is a fantastic looking expansion. I haven't played that one yet, but I do own it. I need to get to the table again. So like I said, I'm in two minds on this one. I can't really make a choice. So
yeah, I'm pulling up a picture of this because I just wanted to confirm one thing about Foundations of Rome, which I believe is true, and I wanted to make sure of it. And it's something that is definitely a detriment to it, if I remember it correctly, which I do believe I do. Let me just double check the board, peoples. Yep, that's right, it is. I think Aquatica moves on because of this, and this is why. There is one big thing about the production that Foundations of Rome, yes, the buildings are nice, right? And I'm always of the mind where I'm like, if you can make a simple game without having to make it big and grandiose, then I'd rather have the simpler version. That's just me. And I get why they made the fancy version. But again, what you're doing in this is that since you have these big, beautiful production, since you have this massive piles of plastic, you expect the bigger
Luminous.
game. Hey, Luminous. You expect a bigger game for it. This is a simple game, as it should have been. Foundations of Metropolis already would have been too big if it wasn't for this in contrast. Here's the biggest problem. The board is a grid of letters and numbers, right? That's fine. To scale it, you have to go down by a row and a column. You take out those cards from the game, which is fine. It is not obvious to see that on the board, and it's not colorblind friendly. They are a slightly redder scale on one of the rows and columns for 3 players versus 2 players. That's a big no. And the way that they handle it is you flip it over for the 2-player side or the 4-player side. I forget which one it is. But the other one, you flip the board over, and it's the same size board with just a bunch of empty space around the edge and a smaller board to fit the 2 players. That is unnecessary. It doesn't work well. They don't even include anything to bracket off that. They should have included another board, honestly.
It's already big enough as it is.
No, but they should have. If they're going to that effort to make a big old giant grandiose production, include one more board so they don't have to do that.
You know what they could have done? Is what they do at 3 Ring Circus. Just give you an overlay board.
Right. That's all I'm saying. That would have fixed the problem. I remember playing this the very first time I played it, and I'm like, why aren't we seeing any H cards? And they're like, oh, that's for the 4-player or whatever. I'm like, oh, I forgot about... And I remember looking at the board and going, that's not obvious. And I hated that. The game is phenomenal. That I'm off my soapbox. Aquatica doesn't have anything that does that. All of the things are very clear what they do. All of the player pieces are color-coded. You have symbology. You have very clear iconography. It's a little hard to read on some parts, but that's not because you're colorblind. It is all very straightforward. So art production, hands down, Aquatica. without a doubt, right? And I'm arguing for which one again?
Yeah, Foundations
of Rome. With that being said, though, ease of play, it is easier to play. There is more meaningful choice, in my opinion. Yes, you feel less clever. There's not as many stand-up moments, so the game immersion, I feel, is probably Aquatica.
Oh, no. My game immersion's Foundations of Rome. And I'll tell you why, because I thoroughly feel clever what I'm doing in Foundations of Rome. Because the 2 times I've played this with your group, I smoked you guys.
That's just because
2 different styles of play. I still smoked both of you guys, everyone at the table.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's biased, right?
No, it's because I felt clever about what I'm doing. Sometimes in Aquatica, I don't feel clever.
Well,
I go by
it's the same reason I like track games, right?
Yeah.
It's because that is effectively a track game. You're doing this, it's this.
Yeah.
And when you get that moment where everybody gets at least one of those few moments in the game, sometimes more than one, where they're like, oh, I just chose 1 card and I just did 12 things. I feel super cool about it. That's what I'm saying. Like, those level of moments, it's handed out enough where it's like, oh, you feel that way, versus just a one player who's like, oh, I got my buildings right where I nestled them in. The timing was perfect.
I think Game Immersion's Foundations of Rome. And the reason why, both are fun to lose. But there's more player interaction in Foundations of Rome, because sometimes you'll be like, "What? No, don't go there. Don't buy that card. I need to go there. That is my spot. I want to put my big building out there. Don't go there." That kind of thing. And there's a lot of more trash talking in this one. Aquatica, I could play this game and not talk to anybody on the table.
Sure. Yeah, I give you the player interaction. You're right. You got it on that one. It's like, oh, you finally worked out in there. But meaningful choice, I think that is still Foundations of Rome. I think ease of play is Foundations of Rome, and replay value goes to Foundations of Rome as well.
Oh, okay, so...
It does it? Wait, does replay value go to Foundations of Rome or Aquatica?
Foundations of Rome...
I know there's at least 2 expansions for Aquatica.
There's 1 expansion I know for sure in Foundation of Rome. So expandability there.
All right. Length of time and scaling well, though. That's Foundations of Rome.
Foundations of Rome. Other than the fact that you're bored. That's more
Although minimum
graphic
number
design.
of plays are Aquatica.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Ooh. Yeah, it's really down to replay value, isn't it?
Well, so...
As it often is in our
both
podcast.
you and me are disagreeing on game immersion.
Okay, so we're calling it a wash then?
We're calling game immersion a wash because I think they're both fun to lose, and I just think there's memorable moments in player interaction in Foundations of Rome.
Okay.
That's where I am sitting.
So then Foundations of Rome for meaningful choice and ease of play? Then would move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I agree with you, art and production's better.
Because I think replay value might be a wash as well.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah. But so either way,
Foundations of Rome,
cool.
Yep.
All right, that makes sense. I don't disagree with that.
And it's, like I said, I love Aquatica. But
me too.
I just think there's more memorable moments for me.
Yes.
Like Aquatica, I feel clever at times, but sometimes you're determined how that stack of cards come up too.
Yep.
That come out. So
Yep.
maybe the expansions will.
Well, that's the
fix
same
that.
way with Foundations of Rome, too,
Yeah.
right? You know, that card river is dependent.
Yeah, but it's not as bad.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty open.
The next one is
Onitama versus World Wonders.
a 2-player game versus a tiling game. Hey, look, it's me again. Did I get all of them?
I did once.
Okay.
I got one of them.
All right, so you are...
Luminous favorite Arcane Wonders is Onitama.
I am getting Onitama.
All right, the one you love. 2-player games. Let's go.
Yeah, 2-player games.
2-player.
Oh, yay. But no, I dig Onitama. I think...
Video evidence. He hates it.
I love Onitama. I think it is a fantastic game. It is fun to lose. It is a lot more tactical than, say, World Wonders. You do feel really clever when you get the right tactical move out there. Be like, oh, now I captured your Grandmaster. Mm-hmm. Or I was able to get my Grandmaster into your temple. I win. That kind of thing. You feel very, very smart when you're playing this one. I like everything what this does. The production value for such a small little game is fantastic. You have a lot of meaningful choice. It is so simple. 5 cards, the entire game. Starting with you get 2, I get 2, and there's 1 in the middle. In the entire game we're using it, so eventually as we're going we know what's coming up. It's like, which card is he going to give me? I know what you're going to be doing, so I'm going to look at your cards because I want to see how I want to make my movement. I'm going to look at my cards, see how I'm going to, what card do I be more okay with that you get right now, that kind of thing. And again, like I said earlier, when it came to like something like chess, you have to think 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. And it feels really good. I'd rather play this over chess because I feel much more clever. I can do my movements thinking ahead a lot simpler than chess and stuff like that. Well, if I do this and he does that, then I have my counter argument by this. But if he does this instead, I have this counter argument instead. I love that aspect of Onitama. Now, don't get me wrong. I like World Wonders. I think it's a fantastic game. I love the tile placement, or the polyominoals. I like that. I love the way the buildings work with each other. I like how you have different rules for the different wonders and how they're supposed to set up. I think all of that is really neat. But Onitama is just, we talked about it with Foundations Rome. We've talked about it with some of the other games here. It makes you feel clever. And you don't really feel that sometimes when you're playing an abstract strategy game.
Right.
And that is, for me, is a fantastic for this game.
I don't disagree. World Wonders, I mean, again, I feel like it's the lesser of two between Foundations of Rome and World Wonders. I feel like they both fill the same niche, and I don't feel like Arcane Wonders need to have both. With that being said, I do still like it. And I think, like, what it does do, it does it really well. Like, I mean, the pieces are really nice. I like that engine building in a way, but it's also still that puzzle.
I will say this. I like the pieces better in World Wonders than I do in the Foundations of Rome's. The plastic minis, I love those wood wonders. They just look better.
They do. They look cool. Yeah, because they actually have the shape of something that's recognizable.
Yeah.
Versus, oh, that's a chunk of tan. Yeah, that's all that is, right? I don't.
Hold on, let me look at the top of my building. Which one is that one? Oh, that's the coin. Okay.
Right. Although what I really appreciate about the production in Onitama is the fact that you have your master and you have your 4 pawns, right, or the 4 other characters, whatever, apprentices.
Apprentices, I think what they're called.
Yeah, and they're made to look the same, and that's on purpose. And it's not because it's like
they're just a different color.
They have a different mold. No, but they're made. It represents the fact that like any of these can move the same way. Mm-hmm. They're all functionally the same piece. It's not about the piece. It's about the card. Mm-hmm. And I like how that visual, because they could have done different minis.
You're arguing the wrong game.
No, I know. I'm saying like that's what I appreciate about that production. With that being said, as far as the wooden pieces are way better in World Wonder. The wooden pieces in World Wonder are so much better than the wooden pieces in Onitama. So, exactly.
There's no wood.
Exactly. Alright, but no, so, ease of play, it's a very simple game, although I don't know if it's easier. Meaningful choice, there is a lot of meaningful choice in this, but there's more tactics. I remember there was often times where, looking at other players' boards, since the board state changes and the wonders get nabbed up, and they're one time effectively. Mm-hmm. If you get, a wonder that I was saving up for, but now it's gone, and now I'm waiting with some extra layout and resources that I can't go for at the time being, I'm kind of stuck waiting for it. Whereas Onitama is pure strategy, right?
Yeah.
There's no random, there's no luck. It's pure strategy. And art and production, I think, almost would arguably be better for Onitama as well. So, it's easier to play. There's more interaction because of the way that you're
2 expansions for Onitama, 1 expansion for World Wonders as of right now.
Is this a clean sweep? I think Onitama gets them all. In my mind. It's more immersive.
I think it is a clean sweep. I think the pieces and components are better in World Wonder, but the graphic design and the art is much better in...
Yeah.
I think it is a clean sweep. Onitama moves on.
Whew. That's rare that we have that.
All right. So the first game eliminated, of course, was Aquatica, and it had 14% of the vote. As in the next one up here was World Wonders, which is one of the newer ones from Arcane Wonders. It had 7% of the vote.
All right. So now, this final round, for the finals, we have Foundations of Rome going up against Onitama. And the way this works is we take ourselves out of it. We go category by category, each of our G.A.M.E.R criteria, and we see which of them wins out on these. You ready for this, Daniel?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for us in the chat? Let's hope so, because we're going to go. Are there any that are really obvious to you?
Game immersion. Onitama. I don't feel like I'm building Metropolis other than the fact that the pieces look nice on the center board. But
I'm not disagreeing. Can we come back to it, though?
Okay.
I think, as far as obvious, I think meaningful choice
Onitama.
is Onitama.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that gets it for sure. And I think ease of play also gets it.
Oh, well, hold on. That is tough because, like I said, you're doing 3 actions. One of 3 actions on your turn. You're either putting out a building if you have the lots for it, you're buying a lot, or you're gaining money.
Right. Where this, you play one of your two cards.
But you're also thinking several moves ahead. So there's a lot of the... Well, that's more in the meaningful choice with the arbitrary... Or not the arbitrary, but the AP aspect of it. But both are very easy to teach, learn, and understand.
Yeah.
So for me, that right there is pretty much a wash. You got 3 things you're doing in one thing, or you're playing these cards. And sometimes you got to look at the cards and try to figure out what they're doing, but it's not that hard. That's why I was like, both of those are...
Are you saying ease of play, right?
Yeah, on ease of play. I think both of those are real simple. Likelihood to get to the table... I actually have a better chance of getting Foundations of Rome to the table than Onitama.
Yeah.
As...
People might
we've
want to
talked
play
about
the game that pretty. Yeah, sure. I'll give you that.
And then the simplicity of familiar and the mechanism. This is where it's like...
Here's the thing.
It's another wash right there for me.
This is why I don't think it's a wash for me, is because people can look at that and see those 2 pieces or those 2 sets of pieces in a line for Onitama and know it's like, oh, this is going to be a chess-like thing. And even if you don't know how to play chess, which you arguably you really don't need to know how to play chess because it doesn't play like chess.
Yeah.
It's just simple. It's like, yeah, you just play one of your 2 cards, move a piece that way. You don't need to memorize your pieces. It's more accessible than chess.
Right? Oh, yeah, much more.
And because of that, because people already know, it's like, oh, this is a chess-like game, but it's way simpler than chess. This is arguably as simple as checkers in a way, right? Almost, right?
Why would you disrespect Onitama saying it?
I'm just saying, like, as far as the familiarity.
How dare you, sir?
Whereas bidding on lots in a grid is not something that I know of any other game that does it. What classic game does that?
You're not bidding on lots. That's the thing.
Well, no, I mean, the lots are coming out.
You're just buying a card.
Sure, but where else is that? Like, I mean, yeah, there's Monopoly, but that's not the same. That is a very different game than this. What other games have that same mechanism?
Where you're just buying a card to put out a lot?
Yeah, like what classic games? What makes a non-gamer relate to that?
You know bingo? That's H7. You put your piece on H7.
Okay. Alright, fine. This is like bingo where you can buy the balls, is that what it is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, man. Alright.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of like bingo, except...
You see the cards that are coming up that says
real
H7?
estate corruption.
Yeah, there you go. It's bingo meets Monopoly.
I think the only other level, though, that I do want to make for this is the fact that the different types of buildings do different things. They score in different ways. They either provide you a population or they give you money, which is another resource that you have to deal with.
Yeah,
I think that
I
adds
get
another
that,
level.
but it's literally not that hard. I've taught Foundations of Metropolis, mind you, but this is still Rome.
Yeah.
Straightforward, easily. Out of all these games, Foundations of Rome, the actual game that isn't an abstract strategy game, was the easiest one to teach to my other game group.
How would you describe, if you were teaching it to me, let's say I don't know how to play Foundations of Rome, just give me the quick and dirty.
You got 3 actions that you can do. Most points at the end of the game wins, of course. Okay. You have 3 things you can do. You can buy a card to buy a lot, a la bingo. You get H7, you put your piece on H7. Or you could choose, once you have that shape, you put a building out there, and that's going to score you certain ways how these different buildings work. And then I'll explain how the buildings work. Okay. I don't know them off the top of my head.
Yeah. That's
but one's going to give you population, the other is going to give you money. That's pretty much what it is.
And how would you describe it, Onitama, then?
Onitama is an abstract strategy game, a la like chess, except for you have cards that tell you how your action is, and you're only using 5 cards the entire game. So you just need to be familiar with the 5 cards. It's very simple.
I feel like that was easier for Onitama, no?
Well, but the other thing I would say for Foundations of Rome, or you get money. That's it.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted you on that. You're right. But I mean, still, like that was like a 3 times the explanation.
Yeah, because there's 3 times more moving parts. It doesn't necessarily mean it's simpler, or harder, because there's a little bit more moving parts. It's like, bingo, that's this section. Hey, I want money, you do this part. So
I can tell you're not budging. I think it's clear, but that's fine.
Honestly, for me, that part is easy to learn, understand, or teach is a wash. They're very simple games.
I mean, no, I don't disagree that they're not very simple games. They are.
And then
there's almost no other game that is as simple as Foundations of Rome. Onitama is the only one that beats it in my eye.
Simplicity and familiar with the mechanism, that's a wash for me as well. That's what I'm saying. Likelihood to get to the table is where I give ease of play to Foundations of Rome, because abstract strategy 2-player game or a pretty game. I mean, pretty is we agreed that the prettiness on Onitama is also true because So okay, fine, we're not budging. Ease of play is neither. Sure, replay value. Onitama, I think, is because it has the 2 expansions. The fact that just out of the box,
16 cards.
There's 16 cards, and you only play with 5 every game.
If you get different ones, you have at least 3 games. Full, and another 4.
And then you can learn one other card as you're playing.
Yes.
So I don't disagree with you on that one. Onitama, so there.
2 points for Onitama so far.
Yep.
Meaningful choice. Ease of play is a wash. Art and production, and game immersion. We're coming back to game immersion still. I'm still putting that one off. Art and production.
This is Foundations of Rome, so the art is better in Onitama. The pieces are better in Foundations of Rome, but this is where I think Onitama will end up taking it, because here is my issue with with Foundations of Rome when it comes to that pieces of components. And I'm surprised you haven't mentioned this, because it's so overly produced and these buildings are so massive. You're sitting there like, okay, I just bought, what is that, F3? Where the frick is F3? Oh, it's this one little space. I have to look around all the buildings to find this one specific spot.
My argument against it
is that graphic design aspect bothers me.
Yeah, the reason I don't like the pieces and components as much on Foundations of Rome is because if you're playing the yellow player, you have one tiny little square on a tan building that represents yellow.
Yeah, that's the
versus
other thing.
Painting the figure yellow.
I was also going to talk about that.
Yeah, right.
And also, it's like, wait, which building was that one again? You have to stand up and look at the top of the building to see if it's the coin symbol or the population symbol.
And then on top of my grid, Onitama's got it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So regardless of game immersion, which one would you have picked for game immersion? I think I would have picked Onitama personally. But I'm just off gut reaction. I think it would have been Onitama.
Honestly, I think it would be, for me, Foundations of Rome, just because... Yeah, there is player interaction when you're playing a 2-player game. I just like the fact that there's more 2-player interaction, or more interaction in Foundations of Rome, because you're playing with more people. Plus, you're not trash talking as much in Onitama. Every time I play Onitama, it's more like, okay, now I did this.
Well, it's a game of respect.
Yeah, that's it.
Martial artists aren't like trash.
And I feel more...
It's martial arts, not UFC fighters. Let's be real.
I feel more clever in Foundations of Rome. Like...
Yeah.
I get my butt handed every time I play Onitama, and I'm like, I'm doing really good. Yeah. How do I keep losing? My win-loss record in that game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whereas my win-loss record in Foundations of Rome or Metropolis, really good. So, for me, just on that gut...
Bias alert.
But I just agreed with you, Onitama wins.
We should have a beacon right here where it's like, bias alert, you're bringing in too much bias. Opinion vetoed.
Man, no, but honestly, Onitama wins our Arcane Wonders, and I'm not surprised, honestly. That is such a fantastic 2-player game.
I kind of, looking over the list, I was like, okay, the ones that had the most running, Foundations of Rome, Onitama for sure. Mm-hmm. I was like, Sheriff of Nottingham might, and Aquatica might.
Honestly, I thought it was either going to be Foundations of Rome, Aquatica, or Onitama. Those were my top 3 that I think could possibly do it. And they all went at least to the semi.
Yep. And, I mean, World Wonders, I was kind of surprised. But, it is a clever little puzzle game.
The only thing I could have seen is like, I know both of us like Furnace.
Yeah.
I thought that could have been the one that ups.
Could have been the dark horse.
That could have been the dark horse.
Yeah,
because
sure.
It's a clean engine builder.
Yep, it is. But going up against Aquatica first round. Yeah, that's what did it in. Yeah.
And Comic Hunters is actually pretty good too. It's probably one of the most thematic game out there because you do feel clever, like you feel like you're collecting those comics.
Yep.
And the way
second most immersive game on the list. Yeah.
And the way that drafting works.
Yep. The way it works. Cool. So with that being said, we hope you've enjoyed today's episode. We have an email address, everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com, as well as Instagram, instagram.com/everydayboardgames. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, see some of the games that we've been playing lately, as well as other silly posts that we do, and email us if you ever want to say hello, enter in future contests, or just give us ideas for future episodes.
Second part, Instagram.
I did that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I didn't hear it because you were doing the email part of it. That's why I was confused.
Remember, our topic today has been completely backwards on everything.
Okay.
Normally, this coin likes me.
All video re-uploads and reviews are found on YouTube under youtube.com/@everydayboardgames. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject.
We also stream our episodes live at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. Please, by all means, follow it or subscribe to us there if you can, financially. Otherwise, follow us. So that way you get notified when we go online. We love it when there's live chatters in there, like our friends Illuminous, and our new chat. Forgive me, I won't pronounce the name, because I know I wouldn't be able to do it justice. But I know Cafe is in there, so I'll give you that much. Thank you for joining us today for that, and again, follow us here.
And all audio versions will be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and Apple.
So thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel, and sorry, I'm still on vacation brain.
Apparently. And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.